Peace and blessings to all those in the total detox group. You hear that? They empty. I just finished my total body detox yesterday, actually on the 4th. But I just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to Ross and to anyone in the group. You know, that's like contemplating on, should I do this? Do it. You know, and any other protocols that he has online that you may feel will benefit you, go in, look up the ingredients, see how it could benefit you, see how it could help you. Stop putting all this processed junk in your body. Peace and blessings, man. You stay safe out here, you know, stay aware, you know, and you know, let's be better versions of ourselves, you know. God bless you.
Let us put our hands together and welcome to the stage Dr. Shalom.
Well, I didn't expect so many people, and I'm glad that you guys are here. I've got some wonderful things we're going to be talking about, some new perspectives about health. First, I always like to start off with some type of chronology. Y'all seen on the program, I said the car show. Y'all see some of the new cars, right? Those who see the new cars, you see some of the old cars, and they just look as new, they run as new, they sound as new as the new cars. But when we look at ourselves, we're not too much different. You know? Somebody had to maintain those old cars to make sure that they was going to run efficiently, right? So you can run just as good, just as new, if you knew how to take care of yourself, how to maintain yourself. But the problem is, when you bought that car, it came with a little maintenance manual, right? It came with a 30,000 mile checkup, 60,000 mile checkup. And even if you didn't know too much about cars, you know to get your oil change, filter change, tire change, you know that stuff, right? But how do you actually maintain your human body? Ask yourself that. How do you maintain your human body? We don't have a maintenance manual. So every day we put wear and tear on our cars. We put wear and tear on our bodies. We can park that car in the garage and it works just as good as new in the morning. But when we go to sleep, sometimes we're not waking up as good and running as good in the morning. So we need to find a way how to fix that. So what if we became biologically older? For every day that passes, we become chronologically older. Let me say that again so you guys can understand it. What if you become biologically one day older? For every day that passes, that you become chronologically older.
Explain it.
Explain it, right? We have biological markers in our body. We age one day. What if we came one day, every day that we pass by, we become older? That's our biological age. But some people are aging every 10 days and just 3 days has passed by, right? Some people can go a whole 10 years and they still look the same. They look like, you know, that's the biological age. We want to keep ourselves biologically young, right? So there have been sciences, you can find out in studies that they're like 10-year-olds who have the biological markers at the age of 45. We also can find out that that child, when they grows up 10 years from now, they might not be alive because that'll be like 90 years old, right? So they can find this out just by testing our biological markers. You can basically find out the secret if you only do this question here. How many people actually think that we regenerate? Everything in our body is actually regenerating, right? Every 100 trillion cells have to turn over and make new cells, new red blood cells and all that things. So our body is a self-repairing system. Your job is to make sure that it stays self-repairing. This way, you can always stay biologically young. So, let me ask somebody. Nefertiti. Hope I said it.
Nefertari.
Nefertari. How old do you think your skin is?
Hope is just as young as me.
Yeah, I knew you was gonna say that. I knew you was gonna say that. I love this little chart up here because it lets us know that we are always regenerating. Your skin is actually only 35 days old. Okay. The skin actually is the fastest rapid cell metabolism in our body. It's the largest organ of our body. Therefore, it's going to have to turn over. Those skin cells have to turn over fast. I know you see people that have skin problems. They seem like, can't get over the acne, all those different skin problems. Okay, so say for instance you cut yourself. You know that you're going to heal, right? Your skin is going to rejuvenate. Keep that in mind. I have up here these facts. Got your DNA, got your liver up here. And I want to start off with the liver. It's our main detoxifier. It actually takes about 6 weeks for the liver to repair itself. If you cut the liver in half, 50% of it is gone. It can regrow itself. That's one of the other organs that's inside of internal organs that can actually repair itself. I know you see up here it say DNA. Can you repair your DNA? We got people that are born with defects in their DNA. Matter of fact, we just take, for instance, the child that has onset diabetes, juvenile diabetes. And that child actually has a defect in the 16th chromosome in their DNA. But we have something called epigenetics, where it goes beyond your genetics. We can change our genetics by eating the correct foods. That way you can express those genes a little bit differently. So those of you who have the type 1 diabetes, which is a defect in the 16th chromosome, I found that out within all of the science and studies and all those things. And it can repair. It can repair. So I have up here the life is in the blood. We can see that the blood rebuilds itself in about 120 days. Red blood cells always go through cycle stages, and eventually they end up at apoptosis. Apoptosis means natural cell death. Everything has to have a death cycle or life cycle. Our blood is synergy that we're supposed to have with plant life. I don't know how many people that are vegan here, but you might want to really consider the blood is similar to a plant's blood. We have this synergistic means with the Most High. These plants that grow from the earth that we're supposed to get the oxygen from, and we're giving off the carbon dioxide to it. Okay? This is supposed to work this way. And if we continue, this little structure up here, it has balance of magnesium. A lot of people are magnesium deficient because they're not eating the plant life. If you have a lot of spinach in your life, you have about 312 grams of magnesium in spinach, just 2 cups of spinach. So get rid of your magnesium deficiencies when you have those muscle spasms, cramps and things like that. You just need magnesium. Eat more veggies. So I have a lot of women in this seminar right here, and I'm quite sure we know that women lose a lot of blood within a certain time of the month. And we're losing a lot of iron, we're losing a lot of magnesium. This little graph, I think it shows you pretty much how the average woman is supposed to have about 8 grams of iron every day. If she's going through menopause, then she should be having at least 18 grams of iron every day. If she's pregnant, she needs about 27 grams of iron every day. And all those people that are going through this high blood pressure, diabetes and everything, it's a real epidemic. And we gotta do something about it. And the reason why, soul food. That is the main reason why. We like our taste buds to have this old-fashioned way, like my grandmama ate this way, she cooked this way, my mother ate this way. So it's a tradition, right? So we can already tell right now that it's not about a hereditary type of disease. It's not about it. It's about, I ate the same way my grandmama ate, I ate the same way my mama ate, and now we got this traditional type of disease that's occurring in my family. My mother did the same way. You know, she actually passed of colon cancer because of eating the same way that her mother ate, and they all had the same disease. I said, I'm going to take control over myself, and not have that same disease. And it's way more important than any of my culture, any of my traditions, or religions, or politics, or whatever. Health is number one. In my book it is. I don't know about you guys, but it should be number one. That's what maintains us, to keep us here connecting with one another too.
Hello, I'd like to give everybody my review on the total detox from my experience from a truck driver. I slowly started noticing changes, but I wasn't intended on losing any weight, but I went from 267 down to 238. Any question you had, I always had to go into the group chat, and it was always good. I enjoyed it, and I would do it again in the next 6 months. So that's my review on it. Everybody should do one.
Sugar is one of the main contributing factors. Mainly the high fructose sugar. A lot of people may get it confused and say, oh, it's salt. No, it's not the salt. It's not the salt. But the sugar will raise your blood pressure and high glucose levels higher than any other salt on the planet.
Wow.
Y'all seen those big gulp sodas that you get from Quick Trip?
Yep.
And they don't even know that that phosphoric acid that's inside of that soda is causing them to have like arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis. The phosphorus is actually taking the calcium, leaking it out, your joints and ligaments, and it's making everything stiffen up. Yeah, so I was just explaining that about the cola. That is definitely what's happening with the bones. It breaks down the osteoclast cells inside of our bones, and it causes that degenerative look. That's what happens when you have rheumatoid arthritis. So the other thing I said about salt, very, very acid forming. You don't want to do it. This is one of the reasons why you have the high blood pressure, because you have in your wrong type of salt. I want everybody to just throw all of that Morton sea salt away from your cabinetry. Throw it away. Only thing that you need to have is Celtic sea salt. But salt will heal your high blood pressure. It's a part of my program to put salt in yourself. It says it in the Bible to put salt in yourself. One thing, you have to have that right salt to heal those. We have a system called the RA system, renin-aldosterone system, inside of our kidneys that circulates through all our endocrine system. So in order to keep that system in harmony, whether it's your thyroid, your adrenals, your pancreas, you want to make sure that you're having the right type of salt. All right? I got this guy up here, and I kind of want to play it out a little bit. Say that I'm the doctor, that's the patient. And this is an older guy. He's grumpy. He's a little mean. And he's headed towards diabetes. He can't even think straight sometimes because he's got brain fog a lot. So I wanted to kind of tell you that his pancreatic cells are actually exhausted. They're stressed out because he's been eating this high glycemic meal. He's been eating high glycemic drinks. And the amount of stress he's put on his cells is taking away from all of his vital energy. The vital energy is what's the healing energy that we need to correct everything that's been going on. Instead of metabolizing what we've been eating, digesting, we need that vital energy to heal. So his pancreatic cells is trying to overcompensate. It's stressed out. One of the hormones that we have is called cortisol, and that's called the stress hormone. And it's coming from your adrenals. So a lot of high blood pressure is not your kidneys, but your adrenals. And it can be your kidneys. It's just so many different factors inside the body that can cause high blood pressure or diabetes. But when your pancreas is exhausted and it starts to release less and less insulin every time, then the glycation in those cells start to ferment, and the receptors that goes out to try to find the insulin no longer is recognizable. You can't find it no more. So that's the reason why people are taking the insulin shots, so it can rush through the system before the meal, clear up the lactic acidosis. That's what it's called. It's called fermentation. And they get caught up in this cycle of insulin dependence. I need it because my cells are not making the right type of insulin. And it's only because they have not replenished their hormones. The cortisol is what's stressing it out. It works in a loop, just like a cycle. Cortisol is here, insulin is here, and the glucose levels is here. And one is antagonizing the other. So glucose is one of the things that needs to get in those cells. And if it's not getting in those cells, then let me tell you something about glucose. This is blood sugar. It breaks down into 2 molecules of pyruvates. And if those pyruvates don't get a chance to get to the cytoplasm of that cell, which is inside of the cell, then they will start to ferment and make this acid waste all into the bloodstream. All right? So when that acid waste starts to get everywhere, we have these capillaries that, like little tight junctions from our lymphatic cells, our lymphatic vessels to our blood vessels. Those start to swell. That stops the oxygen from getting to certain organs like our brain and the kidneys like they need to. It stops that oxygen. And basically this guy ends up being mean and drunk in his own waste. So that's what I kind of had a picture of right here when we're swimming in our own waste. And that's that fishbowl, right? Pretty much like the fishbowl. You've seen something that had that dirty, moldy stuff that's around the fishbowl, and you're swimming in your own waste. That's what they're about. So I want to switch gears a little bit. Let me ask, Ms. Jackie, what is one of the main ingredients that I use every night that we're supposed to take every night?
Garlic.
Yes. Yes. Most definitely. Our garlic. I talk a lot about garlic. I got like a whole bunch of lectures on garlic. Some people may not subscribe to garlic because of the smell or what it does. You know, they may think it's not doing anything internally, but it really is. Garlic increases your nitric oxide levels. It also produces something called germanium. It's on our periodic table, one of the elements that helps the oxygen flow much better. And there's only a few plants out there that have germanium in it, which is like ginseng or our mushroom family, and then garlic. And you have to consume this raw. You mix it up, swallow it, and you let your stomach acids break down the rest. Okay. You can take this with honey, or you can take it just with water or whatever. When we are stagnated, like our lymph vessels can become very, very stagnated. And those vessels aggregate, they stick other white blood cells together. And that's what you come with the tumors, the lumps and bumps that come up on your body. Those are lymph vessels that start to swell because basically you don't have the garlic. You gotta have that garlic. People should be flowing like wine. All right? But a lot of people are having thrombosis, which is the stickiness of that blood. So we know garlic actually fights against cancer, and it helps destroy those tumors. So those tumors that are like, I don't care if it starts from endometrium cancer and it spreads, the garlic will help those white blood cells dissipate. There's compounds inside of garlic called adjuvant, allicin, these different compounds that help speed up that the alimentary canal. Everything that's going down the alimentary canal will help the germanium levels. It crosses over the cell membranes. One thing that you should know about garlic is that it increases the natural killer instincts in cells. Like we have something called T cells in our immune system. This will help the immune system build much faster. I just added one more ingredient to the total detox. Coconut oil can prevent diabetes. It'll slow down that process of glucose metabolism. Let me just read some of the things that coconut helps out with the glucose. It's slowing down the insulin levels, anything that's going on with your digestive process. It makes those the energy levels for your glycemic index to be much faster. I don't think y'all really understand. Diabetes can be healed just by using coconut oil. Coconut oil, for one thing, can heal Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's is nothing but diabetes type 3. You never heard of diabetes type 3? Mm-hmm. Some people have. But basically your brain starts to shrink, and that's Alzheimer's. And when the brain is shrinking, aluminum deposits can find a way to get to the brain. And that's when, it starts to really, really degenerate, deteriorate. So how do you get that out? You gotta start using coconut oil. If your gut was working right and you had that coconut oil in you, you're not gonna have a heart problem, because it's, a lot of people have it misconstrued, thinking that just because it's an oil, that it's gonna clog up some arteries or something like that. No. That's when you have canola oil, those long chain saturated fats. We're talking about one chain, really short chain fatty acid. And that's gonna actually heal the arteries. So coconut oil is anti-everything, It's anti-inflammatory. Any inflammation that's going on inside the body repairs tissues. It's antibacterial. Anybody that's having ulcers helps repair that gut lining. I took something off of the total detox list. Can I have any grains? Grains are very, very toxic. I don't want anybody having bread, nobody having rice, rye, barley, all of those different things. Let me tell you why. When a person eats those grains, it's something like that dirty fish tank bowl. When grains is stored in those big bales, right, before they go to the store, they have a tendency to grow mold on them. They carry something called myotoxins, and they contribute to the inflammation that's in the body. So if you're going through some chronic inflammation and you're really trying to get over it and heal yourself, you can't have grains. We have little villi inside of our gut, like inside of our microflora, inside of our intestines. There's this little villi. They get cut off. The little villi actually gets cut off and it smooths everything out. And this is how you end up getting leaky gut. Also, we don't have meat in our program. Everybody knows that meat is one of the biggest contributors to inflammatory responses in our body. And it's acid forming. And every time you eat meat, it is leaking calcium into your bloodstream. It can cause what you call kidney stones. They go straight to your kidneys. After you eat, how long does it take for your stomach to empty?
12 hours.
That's way too long. There's a certain
Hour and a half.
Actually,
Oh, it's right there.
right here. 26 hours, that's it. Like, if you eat drinking water, juices, anything like that, it only takes about 20 minutes. Now, if you're eating the fruits, smoothies, soups, and all that, it takes about 30 to 45 minutes. Our vegan family, I don't even like to say vegan sometimes, but plant-based family. Wonder why we have so much energy? It's because it's only taking about 30 to 45 minutes to digest. But if you're eating things like the meat down there at the bottom, meat, fish, poultry, it's taking 3 to 6 hours. So these things are sitting in our stomach, fermenting. Anybody know what the word fermenting means?
Yeah.
Sticks there, okay. Causes the parasites to come in there and just eat everything up.
And the sugar also.
Right? Sugar. Even the grains. You can see that it takes too long for it to digest. But this is the reason why I took the grains out of the diet. If we could just stick with the vegetables, fruits, water, juices, that'll be the best, healthiest thing that you can do for yourself.
Good morning. Okay, so I'm giving my review on the Shalom Total Detox. I love the detox. It was a great detox. Let me first start out by telling you what made me consider doing the detox. Basically, back in March, just a couple months ago, I found out I was allergic to anything with yeast in it. So my doctor put me on this gluten-free diet, but I was still running into obstacles because some things that are gluten-free are not yeast-free. So I was still having reactions, bad reactions, breaking out in hives. I was ending up in the hospital. They were talking about putting me on steroids, had to get an EpiPen and everything. Anyways, it's terrible. So my doctor was like, why don't you try to do a detox? Let's try to reset your body or restart your body to see if we can get you some relief. It did clean everything out of me. I felt so, like, the next day after the day I flushed. Of course, I was going all that day, but the day after that, I felt so light. I went harder in the gym. even my friends and family, I do hair, so my clients, a lot of people have jumped on board because they were like, oh my God, your skin is so beautiful, you lost weight, which was a plus. It was like, you look so good. Well, you know, what are you doing? And I tell them about the detox. So, you know, I did get through it, and now I can't tell you if it cured my allergies because I don't even want to eat that stuff anymore, really. So I haven't had anything with direct yeast in it to tell you if it cured it, but I can tell you that the detox works, and I do feel great. Works as far as like cleaning out your system.